What's going on, guys? Since it's the beginning of October, I thought I would do my favorite horror TV shows. That way you have something to watch all October long. So technically speaking, there's so many horror type TV shows, right? I mean, technically The Vampire Diaries is considered horror, Walking Dead, Stranger Things, like all those are considered horror, but like, I don't know if I really consider them horror personally. So I'm gonna try to veer on the side of like actual horror instead of those kind of like generic ones. So starting out at number 5, we have Marianne, and this is probably the scariest show I have on this list. So shout out to who recommended this to me. So in this story, there's a girl named Emma who's this famous writer. She returns to her hometown after the woman in her dreams as a kid, Marianne, reappears. To summarize the story, bad things happen to her and the people around her, and it almost seems as if all the things that she wrote start coming to pass. Like I said, this is probably the scariest show that I have on this list, and it is also French. So you're either gonna have to watch this subtitled or you're gonna have to watch it dubbed. Number 4, Scream Queens. So this is gonna give you the same feeling as American Horror Story if you've seen that, because it has the same creators and it has a lot of the same actresses. This is a comedy horror that really plays on the tropes of horror and tries to make everything super like, extra and dramatic, It centers on a group of sorority girls who are terrorized by a masked killer, and they're also terrorized by each other because they're sorority girls.
Good evening, idiot hookers.
So the question is, will you be able to figure out who the killer is before they do? This is an anthology series, so every season is different, and there is a second season, but we won't talk about that one. This show does have a lot of big names in it. You got Emma Roberts, Billy Lord, Jamie Lee Curtis, John Stamos, Taylor Lautner, etc. depending on how many seasons you watch of this, but like I said, maybe just stick to the first season. Sticking with that whodunit theme, we have number 3, Scream, the TV series. Now this show is just like the Scream movies, but it's not quite as cheesy.
You're behind the couch.
Just like the original, they open up the show with a brutal murder. After that, this kind of brings up some memories around town about a killing spree that happened years ago, and they start thinking, oh no, there's another serial killer on the loose. Once again, you're gonna spend most of the time trying to figure out who the killer is, which is always very exciting. But I really like this show because it does talk about the tropes of horror. Inside of it, it's kind of like this big meta thing.
You can't do a slasher movie as a TV series.
And while it does talk about tropes and very much pulls from the original, it still has its own personality, and I think it's still original in its own way, like changing the mask of Ghostface, for example. So this went on for 2 seasons on MTV, even had a movie, and then it switched over to VH1, and they got a whole like total remake, recast, new story, everything. That one's not quite as good, it's got Tyga in it, if you're into that.
It's gonna be crazy.
But hey, it is what it is. The first 2 are definitely worth checking out, and the third one, if you want to do it, go ahead. Number 2, Slasher. Guess what? This one is also a whodunit, but it is definitely better than the previously mentioned. This is also an anthology series, so every single season you are going to be given a new storyline, and you're going to have to use your super detective skills to try and figure out who the killer is. So there are 3 seasons. The first season is The Executioner, and it was on Chiller. It was kind of like Scream, it was alright. It was kind of just someone in the hometown, figure out who the killer is, that kind of basic thing. But season 2, Guilty Party, that's when Netflix picked it up, and that's like when it stepped up its game and it really caught my attention. It's about a group of former camp counselors who return to camp to try to bury something they did in their past. However, while they're there, they start getting picked off one by one, and they have to figure out what the heck's going on. This has a twist ending that's just, like, you're not gonna see it coming. And it does one of those Saw things where like it goes back and shows you all the times that it alluded to it and you just didn't notice. Season 3 is called Solstice. It is about a killer who decides to kill a bunch of people in an apartment building on the summer solstice who witnessed a murder the year before and did nothing about it. They didn't try to stop it, they just watched, all that kind of good stuff. So I think that's a good life lesson actually, you know? But once again, it's a great show, very brutal, and it's super fun to try to figure out who the killer is. Now on to some honorable mentions. First, we have Hannibal. Yep, that's right. Hannibal Lecter, Hannibal the cannibal, the guy that eats people, you know the story. This show takes place in his early years and explores a relationship between FBI agent Will Graham and Dr. Hannibal Lecter, who is his psychiatrist, who may be the most wanted serial killer of all time. Next, we have From Dusk Till Dawn, the TV series. This is based off the classic movie by Robert Rodriguez, and it explores two criminal brothers who are trying to escape the law and take shelter in this bar that is run by vampires. So this show has a very good story and some good characters, and basically Isaac Gonzalez is in it. Okay, yeah, all right. Okay, to be honest, no. The first season is very good. I think that it does a great job kind of expanding the narration from the original movie. It's got unique camera angles. It's got a nice color grade on it. It was very well done, I believe. But then, you know, the second and third season, they kind of tried to make it into something when they really didn't need to be. Definitely the first season is worth a watch. All right, number one. This one was very hard to pick because I love slashers so much. However, I did choose this as my number one choice because it is just so overall enjoyable, and that would be Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yo, Granny. Let's go.
This show is a continuation of the Evil Dead movies. It picks up with Ash as an adult working at a retail store when the Deadite plague threatens to destroy all of humanity. If you don't know anything about Evil Dead, basically there's this book that summons evil, and Ash just has to try to stop it. I honestly believe that this show might be one of the most enjoyable shows of all time. It's hilarious, scary, full of action and gore, and it just there's like never a boring spot in this whole show. Bruce Campbell is just absolutely the perfect choice for this role. He just absolutely nails it. No one could play it better than he could.
Yeah, looking good. Looking sweet.
And you'll also get to see Lucy Lawless. You might remember her from Xena Warrior Princess. Amazing show. Check it out. That's all I got for you guys. Let me know if you want to see any other top 5 lists. I'm going to be working on a horror movie top 5, so look forward to that, and I will see you next time.